That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm going to keep ticking, but no, friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get the good times? When we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while. Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave. Stop me. To my heart.
Don't let quit on you. Doing the minimum for your high blood pressure is due to stroke, heart attack. It's too late. Find out how at high blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
World Sports Radio Network.
Can't wait.
And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Game On right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I am your host, Josh Silverberg. I didn't know when to go on the stream, when not to go on the stream, because it's Speedy is doing it from his home tonight, so it might be going in and out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I know we've been gone. I was gone last week. I just came back from Florida a couple of days ago. So that was a fantastic trip. Did the drive with my wife and my son. We drove down, left Wednesday night, got there Thursday evening, left Tuesday. Good thing we did because Fort Lauderdale was literally underwater. And after that, I've reached out to my family. It seems that everybody is doing well and things like that. Again, please check out our show, worldwidesportsradio.com, as well as the WWSRN app. See, Speedy's supposed to tell me when to go on or not. He didn't tell me. Dang, But Speedy's going to be joining us after the 6:20 mark. For the rest of the show, he is going to talk with me, little NBA and NHL playoff preview. We have that. We're going to get into some wrestling a little bit, do a little baseball conversation as well. And, of course, our wonderful buzzer beater. We're going to get into it right now with the leadoff spot, and that is the baseball season so far. Here's how it's been going so far. I also forgot to mention we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. How could I have forgotten that? I can't believe I forgot that. But anyway, so far with the baseball season, see, I'm a little rusty. It's been a couple of weeks. The baseball season so far has been an interesting one. Of course, you have the Tampa Bay Rays that have just taken off. 13-0, going for 14-0 tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays. And you're wondering if that's going to continue. Look, the Rays are not going to go 162-0. That would be something, wouldn't it? But in the end, the crazy thing is going to be, who gets out the Rays right now. Now, look, they're hot. It's early in the season. We know this. My takeaways is Tampa Bay is a real threat. This is what the Rays do, and this is how the Rays operate, correct? They operate on this low payroll. The players, they bring them up, and then they turn them into superstars and stars, and then they trade them off. I mean, the one big contract, two of them I can remember they've given out is, of course, Evan Longoria and now Wander Franco. But they have other guys that are stepping in. Of course, Brandon Lau, who I drafted on my fantasy team. Kudos to Speedy as well. Speedy thought that was a fantastic pick as long as he's consistent. With the way the Tampa Bay Rays are, I like where they're at. Their pitching is great, of course, led by McClanahan. They have a great bullpen. Kevin Cash is one of the better managers in the game of baseball. We know what Tampa Bay does. So they're off to a good start. The Minnesota Twins are off to a 9-4 start. So it's good to see them get back into the swing of things with how they're doing what they're doing right now. Of course, you saw it with the drubbing of the Yankees last night. Usually they're the Yankees punching bag. The Yankees are off to an 8-5 start. I expect the Yankees to, be there. Of course, now you have the issue with Carlos Rodon's back now. Is now another issue. So his rehab starts have been set back. The Yankees are still waiting on that. The Atlanta Braves are doing their thing. Although I got to tell you, I have Spencer Strider on my fantasy team. I'm not happy with how Strider is performing. He's getting his strikeouts. But here's the issue. With the way it's like I hear my cats in the background. It's just so distracting. With the way my God, I forgot who I was just talking about. Wow. Oh, the Braves. With the way the Atlanta Braves are performing this year, you expect, of course, a little regression from guys. I know right now, the center fielder's out right now with an injury. Harris. Strider is still getting his strikeouts, but, hasn't really given you the length that he wants. But I still expect the Braves to win that division. The Central has been interesting. The Cardinals have been meh so far. And then, of course, you have the Padres have been meh so far. They're waiting for Tatis to come back. But, again, this is the issue with the Padres, who just lost 2-3 to the Mets. The starting pitching for the Padres and the bullpen for the Padres is an issue. But then you also look at the bottom. No, Snug. Do not set 1,000 cats. That would be no. 2 is plenty. I have 2. The issue with the Padres is you look at the bottom of the Padres order. Bogart's having a good year. Machado's having a good year. Cronenworth is doing he's doing okay. Soto's not off to a good start. So that's been an issue so far with how do the Padres view Juan Soto long term. Now, if Soto continues to perform at the way he's performing, he's not going to get that long-term contract from the Padres. And other teams will step in, but now you have to wonder to yourself, okay, well, what's wrong with Soto? I'm not going to get into any, thing like that, or is he losing a step? Is he doing, was he on PEDs? I'm not going to get into any of that. But it's weird to see, right? Like Christian Yelich has got off to a rough start again because he's having the back issue still that he's had with his injuries. The thing of it is that the Padres have done so many of these large contracts from the Machados. I know we've discussed it at length with Machado. how it fits. But, Tatis's contract, Bogart's contract, Musgrove's contract, they're still going to, Hader's going to be a free agent after this season. I don't know if they're going to be able to afford that. If they do, I want to know where the money's being printed because they're at the bottom in the league of attendance. I don't know where they're getting the money from. But to me, it's just an interesting point to where it's with the Padres. I don't know where they're at. I'm confused with them. I picked them. Yeah, I believe I picked the Dodgers to win the West and the Padres to win the division when Speed did our predictions and to win a wild card spot. And I think they will. Another team that's off to a really struggling start is the Philadelphia Phillies. Here's the problem with the Phillies. It's the same problem every year. It's their bullpen is a massive issue. They don't have a closer. They signed Craig Kimbrell to be that guy. Craig Kimbrell stinks. Okay, Gregory Soto, who they signed from the Tigers. He's another one that's gotten off to a rough start. Aaron Nola, who I've always said for the last couple of years is one of the most overrated pitchers in the game of baseball. He's another one that just is struggling at this moment. Zach Wheeler is doing good, and of course they're, Trey Turner's done a nice job, but then you have guys like Kyle Schwarber has done awful so far, hitting under 200. JT Realmuto is really struggling. He's on my fantasy team. He's striking out at a very high rate that he normally does not strike out at. You're not getting Bryce Harper back till the middle of the year. And if you're the Phillies, you got to figure this out fast, I think, and get this straightened out because when you look at the Phillies right now, Alec Boehm is having a good year, but I just don't like that Phillies bullpen. That's the issue with them. Their bullpen is not great. And honestly, their rotation after Wheeler and Nola, 3, 4, 5 is not really good. I mean, you have Suarez that will come back eventually, but he's not going to change the trajectory of the Phillies. Taijuan Walker is going to give you 5 innings and 4 or 5 runs a game. That's what he's going to do. And in that ballpark, it's not going to fit well for him. So the Phillies are an interesting team. I picked them to win a wild card spot. We'll see. You have the Mets right now. The Mets, who have been up and down. They won 2 against the Marlins, got swept by the Brewers, who are playing really well. 1, 2 out of 3 against the Marlins again. Then 1, 2 out of 3 against the Padres. They're getting the pitching right now from Peterson and from McGill. Scherzer had a nice start last time. You're waiting for Verlander to come back. I'm thinking after the West Coast trip, he would probably return. Really quickly, I don't know who made up the schedule, but why do you have the Mets going from Oakland to the Dodgers to San Francisco? Why not just have them go from Oakland to San Francisco when they're right across the bay from each other? It just seems like a very pointless way of scheduling by Major League Baseball, but I'm not surprised. The Mets are they got to bring up the kids at some point. That's Brett Beatty, who's been hitting unbelievably well down in AAA. I think he's ready. Vientos is off to a good start. I think the Mets are scared to bring him up because they probably feel he's not going to be successful on the Major League level, and therefore they want to maybe trade him for a player. We'll see. And then Ronnie Mauricio has done unbelievably well. He did great in spring training. He's done even better down in AAA. So it's no, Stug, I get what you're saying, but the point of it is that when the stadiums are literally right across from each other, it doesn't make it any. It makes it pointless to make them travel from here to there then back. It's just if they're all on the same trajectory in the same distance, just don't play each other. That's where I'm getting at. But the Mets are where they are right now. They have their West Coast trip starting tonight with Oakland. So we shall see from there. And that is so far how the baseball season has gone so far. So we might go a little over the 6:20 hour. I'm going to let Speedy know. Another thing I want to get into really quickly, this Aaron Rodgers conversation. I'm getting sick and tired of talking about it. Now, also, Woody Johnson has cold feet because they were ready to agree to the trade. And then Aaron Rodgers went on Pat McAfee's show and then said that he was 90% retired. And now Woody's like, wait a minute, I'm not trading you a first-round pick now. And I understand that completely because here's the thing. You don't know if you're going to get more than a year out of Aaron Rodgers. You can't give up that first straight for 1 year of the guy. Can't do it. Won't work. So therefore, I think it would have been best if Aaron maybe didn't say that part on the Pat McAfee show. Then again, who knows? It is what it is. But this trade will go down at some point. It's just taking longer than it has to. There's no rush from either team to get this done. It's actually more for the Packers to get this done so they can get the draft picks this year rather than next year. So it would make sense for the Packers and the Jets to get this done before the draft, which people are saying it will. So we'll see what happens. WrestleMania recap. Didn't get to it because I didn't have a show last week. I was away. In regards to the finish of Cody and Roman, Cody should have won. That's how it should have been done. WrestleMania was the best WrestleMania since WrestleMania 31 in Santa Clara. This was the best one. And Triple H did a good job running it. And now the report of then WWE got bought. Vince McMahon is back in control. Or is he not? We don't know. We're not sure. Not sure. In regards to where it stands now for Cody, obviously he's going to have a rivalry with Brock Lesnar. So we know that's going to happen. That's going to come to the point of, where do they go from here with Cody? Do you make him build him up again and get him to WrestleMania for next year in Philly to do this? Because this was the time to do this. You had in my opinion, you had a John Cena on your hands, a moment like this, and you let it go for Roman to win. And to me, I thought that was a very interesting decision. It was a decision that I didn't feel was right. Cody earned it. And then, of course, in AEW news, before we go to break, CM Punk, the report is that he will be coming back to AEW in June. Probably also to get tickets done for the Wembley Stadium show in August. Because you got to understand something. AEW, they usually do a show every 4 months, a pay-per-view every 3 months. They're going to have Double or Nothing in May, Wembley in August, All Out in September in Chicago, and then also Forbidden Door in June. So you got Double or Nothing in May, Forbidden Door in June, Wembley Stadium in August, Chicago in September, possibly for All Out. It's a lot of conjoined shows for Tony Khan to really try to make this work. And he's probably thinking, all right, we brought Jeff Hardy back. Now we're going to, look, we're going to try to smooth this thing out. Apparently he's going to meet with Chris Jericho for a meeting. Jericho has some interesting things to say. We'll see where it goes from there. I'm not entirely sure. In my opinion, I don't know, but CM Punk sounds like he's coming back, and we will see what happens about that. But we're going to go take our first break. When we come back, Speedy's going to join me for the rest of the show. We're going to get into our NBA and our NHL playoff previews, predictions, what we think is going to happen, who's going to go where, who's going to win, who's going to lose, who's going to be disappointed, who's going to be happy. You'll find out all that when we come back right here on Game On, here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the World Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Game on!
Game on!
We're back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here for the second half of Game On. Good start. Actually, let me bring in my wonderful producer who is working from home today. It's why it sounds a little choppy. It's okay. He will not join us on camera. You will hear him via audio. That would be Mr. Speedy Petey. Speedy, can you hear us?
Yes, let's
Speedy.
go Rangers, Josh.
Oh, wow. Okay, I guess we're going to start with the NHL then. Is that what you want to do?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so Speedy, let's read each matchup first off. So read me the first matchup you want to discuss.
Well, the Western Conference ones actually aren't set. Do you want to just do the Eastern Conference in that case?
Yeah, we could do the well, wait.
The Western Conference is a couple ones that are still to be determined.
But how? Aren't all the games finished?
Colorado still has one tonight. So,
oh my God!
If they win the Central, they would be a matchup against the Kraken. Otherwise, it'll be Dallas against the Kraken, and then the other one plays Minnesota.
Okay, so you want to do the Eastern Conference? Let's do the Eastern Conference. Let's go for it.
All right, so we'll start with the President's Trophy winning Boston Bruins matched up against the Florida Panthers.
Oh, how wonderful! Well, as Jeff likes to call it, it's the participation tournament. The Boston Bruins participation tournament. That's what it is, folks. And it is going to be the Florida Panthers against the Boston Bruins. The New York Islanders looked out. They got everything they needed to avoid the Boston Bruins in the first round. And they get the grand prize for the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. Getting in is the great and powerful Bruins team that had arguably the greatest regular season any team has ever had. It's very simple. Look, I give a lot of credit. First, that the Florida Panthers should have been better than what they were. Now, Speedy, question for you. Do you remember a month or so ago when I covered for Arrow, I did the Weekend Crunch? You asked me the question of who will the two wildcard teams be? Who did you say?
Nope, I was wrong. I remember this well. I had Detroit as one of them, and I had the Penguins. And
okay, and who did I have?
And you had the Florida Panthers and the New York Islanders.
Yes, I did. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you. God bless. And the reason why I said the Florida Panthers was because they were getting Barkov back. And, you know, to me, when I look into how this series is going to go, it's quite simple. The Boston Bruins are going to drub the Florida Panthers. Now, the interesting matchup, of course, is going to be Matthew Tkachuk against Brad Marchand. That's going to get very chippy between those two. We expect it, for sure. I never pick teams to sweep series in the NHL. I'm very wary of that. It's very difficult to do it. I'll give the Bruins the series in 5. You know, that's the crazy thing. to me, when you look at how the Boston Bruins are set up, is this. This is going to be easy peasy for them. This is a warm-up matchup for them. You want to talk about offensively, stout. Defensively, great. Power play and penalty kill, unbelievable. Goaltending, Allmark's going to win the Vezina. Do I need to say any more? I'm going to give the Boston Bruins in 5 games. And I will tell you this, though. The Panthers have a lot of things to work on. They got to figure out this Bobrovsky situation because I don't think he's going to be the goalie in this series. Speedy?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're going to see a lot of platooning because Spencer Knight is back now, and I think Bobrovsky, he's been kind of streaky in the playoffs in his career as it is, and I think that's something that maybe is going to keep the Bruins on their heels when it comes to try to game plan for the goalies different ways. Bobrovsky's a lot bigger, but sometimes he has had weaknesses in the 5-hole throughout his career. And Spencer Knight, he hasn't played as much this year, so they don't have as much tape on him. So it'll be interesting to see how Jim Montgomery approaches it. And you're right, the physicality of Tkachuk is what's going to be very interesting against the Bruins' top.
He has
forward.
to take over the series, Speedy. He's got to take over the series. He and Barkov, that's the only way they have a shot at this, and it's not going to happen.
Right. And Tkachuk, he was one of the few guys that did play well for the Flames when they really struggled more than they should have last postseason. But Tkachuk still played really well in that series. Another X factor probably will be Carter Verhaeghe at 42 goals as well.
Yes,
he's going to have to outplay a lot of those guys on the Bruins' second line as well, or first line on that power play if they have any shot. But I'm with you. I just don't think the Panthers have enough defensive depth to help out whoever the goaltending is. Ekblad is nice. I like Brandon Montour, but they really don't have much else besides that. So I like Bruins at 5 as well.
Bruins
All right,
at 5 as well.
So we'll do the other matchup in the Atlantic. We'll do the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Is this finally the year for the Leafs?
I like what you're doing. It's like you're saving the fun matchups for after. This is interesting what you're doing. And by the way, Speedy, I think there's a few Western Conference matchups already set, correct?
Yes, the Vegas Golden Knights won the Pacific, so they will be taking on the Winnipeg Jets, and the Edmonton Oilers will be taking on the LA Kings. That we know for sure.
Okay, so we could go over that a little bit after. We could have a little fun there with that. So Toronto and Tampa. Now, take a deep breath, everybody, because this is an interesting series, and I know Toronto fans are begging and chomping at the bit. Can we finally win a series? Hey, listen, we did God's work because we helped the Islanders get into the playoffs. We did good. We helped the team out. So, not only did we help them out, but we also got them to the point where we didn't have to have them play the Bruins. We did a very big favor for them. And of all people, John Tavares is the one that did it. Look at that. Full circle. So Wall's going to be the goalie for Toronto, what it sounds like. It's interesting because, Speedy, I really want to pick Toronto in the series. I do, because they got a lot more sandpaper and grit at the trade deadline with what they did. That was their goal. The defense still scares me a little bit with them. And gosh, that goaltending matchup is a massive, massive stretch between Wall and Vasilevsky, man. The thing of it is that Vasilevsky could just still play on his head and do what he does in the postseason. 3 years in a row, they've been in the Stanley Cup final. There's a reason for that, and a huge reason for that is Vasilevsky. My heart says Toronto. My head says Tampa. I'm going to go with Tampa in 7 games, and Toronto's going to have to wait again. And the reason being is because of this. You still have Kucherov. You still have Stamkos. Braden Point had arguably the quietest 50-goal season anybody's had. You know what I mean? So, I really want to pick Toronto, Speedy, but I just can't trust them at the moment. I really can't do it. So I'm going to have to go with Tampa Bay Lightning in this one, and I'm going to go 7 games. I could 100% see Toronto losing at home in overtime. Another backbreaker for them, for this franchise. And then they got to figure out, what happens with Kyle Dubas, the GM. The rumors are swirling around is that he may, if they don't win, he could go to Pittsburgh. Sheldon Keefe is a good coach, But again, I don't think they have enough defense to stop the core of Stamkos, Kucherov, Point, Hedman. And then, of course, like I said, you're going to have Wall against Vasilevsky. That's a massive level of play between those two right there. So I'm going to go Tampa in this one. I could regret it until Toronto proves to me otherwise. This is a team that went to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals in Tampa. I got to go with the Lightning in this one in 7 games, and I think they're going to win in overtime in Toronto, which would be I don't know what Toronto fans would do at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that one, too, because I do like the Lightning offensive depth still, too. It's a little different than it was in previous years, but I think now you're getting a full year with somebody like Brandon Hagel, who's still a very underrated goal scorer, like you're saying.
Well, they trade a first-round pick for him. He better be good, Hagel.
Yeah, and you look at somebody like Braden, like you said, probably the quietest 50-goal season. I bet Carter Verhaeghe, Florida, probably the quietest 40-goal season. And
yes,
you need a player like that against this Toronto offensive depth. And Toronto did do a better job. Again, like you were saying, more great guys, the 2 defensemen at the trade deadline rather than just going for the one flashy one, which does still help. But I do think the coaching will still end up mattering. And you've seen Tampa's system, I think, still really play. Yes, they're not the same powerhouse statistically when it comes to their offense in terms of their team offense, but they still have a lot of good depth and they still have a lot of veteran leadership that I just don't know if Toronto has. They still have a lot of defensemen that still have had issues skating. And like you said, which goaltending performance are you going to get? Are you get a random guy like Wall, like you were saying, can he be the guy that is just so unknown that he does well? Or you get something like they've had in years past with guys like Jack Campbell that have really struggled, James Reimer that have really struggled, and it's just really tough to trust. I'm going to go with the Lightning in 7 as well, but I'm going to go with a little different approach here. I think they get shut out in Game 7.
Oh, wow.
It's
almost like which one is worse. It's almost like which one is worse at this point. Either way, you both have them losing at home. It's my thing of it. I don't know. Is Matt Murray healthy?
I don't know, but then again, it's Samsonov, he's unknown too, or like you're saying, Wall.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it's almost like, do you go with Murray then if he's healthy, because he's won the 3 Stanley Cups? Or the 2 Stanley Cups.
You would want that ideally if you're the Leafs, but it's just how much of a factor is that?
Well, Wall's been playing very well too. That's the other thing, Speedy, is that Wall has been playing very well. It's just I don't know what he is in the playoffs. I don't know.
Right.
And then again, you're going up against arguably the best goalie in hockey. So I mean I don't know. That's the thing, is that they did this last year, right? Weren't Toronto? They were the home team in the Tampa series too.
Oh yeah,
and they lost.
Division by like 10 points.
Yeah, and they lost, and they still lost. And it's just, is Vasilevsky in Toronto's head? I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But we both have Tampa winning in 7, and Toronto's going to burn their city down again probably and want everybody out. And they'll have to John Tavares is going to have to sleep in a different pair of pajamas possibly if this keeps up when he goes to his next team maybe. But who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Getting restless at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say he might be restless at that point, yeah.
All right, so do you want to save the locals for last? We'll go to the Western Conference?
Yeah, let's do the Western Conference. Let's get those out of the way.
All right, let's go for the Vegas Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets.
All right, so this one's interesting because here's the thing: everybody's expecting Vegas to just ramshack the Winnipeg Jets. Here's the issue. No, I think Vegas is going to win the series. I think it could go 6 games. Here's the issue, though, is that Connor Hellebuyck has had an unbelievably good season. The last month or so, I believe he's had the best numbers of any goalie in the league, if I'm not mistaken, probably next to Sorokin. Yeah. And if not for Hellebuyck, Winnipeg is a lottery team. That's a fact. But it's going to be too much. I think Vegas is too strong. Cassidy's been here, done that in the playoffs before. I mean, I know. Oh God, what's his name? Who's the head coach on Winnipeg? Bonus is the head coach of Winnipeg and everything like that. He's been to a Stanley Cup before, but gosh, I think Vegas has too much talent. I think Hellebuyck can only do so much. I'm going to go with Vegas in 6 games. I think Hellebuyck's going to steal a couple of games, but it's going to get too much too fast, I think. But we'll see, because the goaltending matchup is interesting for Vegas.
Yeah, Logan Thompson, like you said, a very inexperienced guy. Mm-hmm. Robin Lehner obviously out for this entire season versus somebody like Hellebuyck, who's been so.
Robin Lehner's got his own issues he's got to deal with other than playing a hockey game right now, I think, Speedy.
Oh yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
even so, like you're right. Which end of it are you going to get in the playoffs? And Winnipeg is still pretty deep offensively too, and their experience. Like they're not what they were because they traded some pieces away. A couple of them to go into the Rangers, but you still got somebody like Kyle Connor, Pierre-Luc Dubois, who's a nice young player as well. Mark Scheifele. You still got a lot on that team that is very good with Winnipeg. So I agree with you. I think it's going to be a tougher series than people think. I wish Winnipeg was playing against Dallas. I actually think they could have won that series because I don't think Dallas is overly deep either. But you're right. I think Vegas just has a little bit too much. They're very experienced, like you were saying. And Thompson still is a good goalie. Like that defense is very deep too. That's going to be able to help them out. And remember, the reason Vegas missed the playoffs last year was just so many injuries. It's not because of a lack of talent. They still got Eichel, who had a fantastic stretch since he's coming to Vegas, and Mark Stone playing back as well. That's a lot of experience. There's a lot of good guys in the playoffs too, for the most part.
Chris Angelo's won a Stanley Cup before. He's been there before. He's won.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me Shea Weber's not going to play, Speedy?
No, that can't possibly be true. I don't know. Maybe he'll come in as a coach at this rate. At this point,
man.
I agree with you. I'm going to go Vegas in 6, and I think Winnipeg will play tough. They're going to play physical. They always do.
Yeah. All right. What's the next matchup?
So the other Western Conference that we know of is the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings.
Wow. Now, see, this is interesting because the Kings are a very inexperienced team, other than Doughty and Kopitar, that are really left from those cup-winning teams. We know they shipped Jonathan Quick out. Jonathan Quick is at Vegas now. Is Quick going to be the one that plays for Vegas, or is it going to be Thompson?
I would imagine it's going to be Thompson. He's been there the whole year, but I mean, if he does struggle, it wouldn't surprise me if they switch though, because of Quick's
I wouldn't be surprised if they went with Quick. That's the only reason, because he has the experience. But getting back to it, I think. Look, Edmonton went out there. They signed Campbell. He hasn't been as expected as they thought he would be. They thought they had finally figured out their goaltending situation. I believe they got to the conference finals last year and got whooped in the conference finals by Colorado. They got swept and smoked in every game. So, I mean, like, you still have McDavid, you still have Draisaitl, you still have Darnell Nurse, you still have some very good players. Evander Kane is having another good season with them. When you have Connor McJesus on your team, I mean, that's going to help you in many ways, I think. I think the Kings are a little inexperienced right now. I think that's what it comes down to. I like where Edmonton is at. They're playing very well on home ice, especially, although I don't believe home ice is a big thing anymore. I think it's overrated now. To me, I'm going to pick Edmonton. I'm going to go 6 games. I think LA will make it interesting. This is the launching pad for the Kings. This is them just starting their stretch because they had a rebuild and it went quick and everything like that. So give me the Oilers. I think the Oilers have to find a way somehow to get to the Cup final this year. They have to, because it gets to a point in McDavid's career where he's going to say, listen, I guess I just can't get there with this team. It is what it is. But I'm going to go with Edmonton in 6 games.
All right, this is our first disagreement. I'm actually going to take the Kings here. They took the Oilers to 7 games.
What a disaster that would be, Speedy.
Yeah,
if the Oilers lost,
because they took the Oilers to 7 games last year. I thought last year was going to be their year where, all right, they're going to get their feet wet, they're going to stumble, but they still played very well. They were up 3-2 in that series and very easily could have won that. And they have a lot more offensive depth this year. You got a guy like Victor Arvidsson, who's played very well.
Yep.
You got Kevin Fiala.
I like Fiala
very well. Adrian Kempe, you're talking about quiet 40-goal seasons. He had a 41-goal season. Very good young player that they have. And Korpisalo's played well since getting traded over there from Columbus as well. And remember, he had that marathon game with 70 goals in the 70 saves in the postseason against Tampa Bay. I think he could be a very underrated factor. And like you're saying, the Oilers goaltending is still very questionable too. Is it going to be Stuart Skinner? Like you're saying, is it going to be somebody like Campbell who struggled last year in Toronto? Are they going to trust that kind of thing?
Well, they gave Campbell that contract. You would think they're going to have to play Campbell, no?
Yeah, again, I think there's just more unknown with that. And like you were saying, they still have Doughty and Kopitar that have really helped these young players really elevate their game. And I think they're deeper than a lot of people think offensively. They're very good on the power play, very underrated. And like you said, all the pressure's on the Oilers, no pressure on the Kings. I think the Kings get their revenge. They were 7 games last season. I think they get it done this time in 7 games this season.
All right. All right, Speedy, let's get to the dreaded ones that I've been dreading to talk about. Well, there's one specifically I'm dreading to talk about.
All right, so let's go to the the first local, the New York Islanders against the Hurricanes.
All right, so this is an interesting matchup. I think it's going to be one of the most boring series of hockey you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of defense. You're not going to see a lot of scoring. Boy, the Islanders just squeaked in. I got to tell you, though, I'm really tempted to pick the Islanders in this series because of one guy. And honestly, and I'm going to say it, I think he's the best goaltender in New York. That's Ilya Sorokin. I think he's the best goalie in New York. I think he is better than Shesterkin, which, coming from me, people are going to say that's crazy. I'm shocked. But in reality, it's, I look at it like this. I think the Islanders can steal this series from Carolina. I really do believe that. Carolina's got a lot of firepower. Now, you have to remember, they lost Svechnikov, and Freddie Anderson has not played well down the stretch. He has not played great. Carolina has not played great. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to pick the Islanders in 7 games to win this thing, and I think they're going to be the ones that go to the next round. This was the best matchup for the Islanders. I think this was the worst matchup for the Hurricanes.
Very interesting. I could definitely see it too, because Carolina's offensive depth definitely has not been the same this year.
They didn't replace Svechnikov when they had all that cap, and they lost Pacioretty. They didn't do anything.
Right. And even some of their guys their depth guys that have done well for them in the past, like Jarvis and Natchez and guys like that, haven't played as well.
Went after Timo Meier. They should have went after Timo Meier. Should have went after Meier.
No, you're right. And they needed that other spark. If they can get it from Pacioretty, or not Pacioretty, if they can get it from Teravainen, maybe somebody like that.
Teravainen's been playing well. They still have Aho. They still have guys, but it just, they have a very good defense, Carolina. Their defense is very good.
They need that veteran leader, so I worry about that kind of thing in the next round. But I do think the Islanders, here's 2 things with them. One, it's not the Barry Trotz Islanders as Lane Lambert. Is that going to be a factor in terms of the physicality that we normally see in the playoffs? Because their defense has been better in the second half of the season, but still not to the level it should be. And also, how good will Barzal be coming back to? Is the chemistry still going to be there with somebody like Horvat?
And also, is Romanov going to be there? But even though Romanov didn't even have a good season, but...
Now, you're right. The pressure is still on the Hurricanes. They won the division. They sweeped it out even with the Devils and Rangers having those very active trade deadlines. But I do worry about them long term, but I do think they survive in this series. I do think if it does go to a Game 7, I do think that'll benefit the Islanders more. And Sorokin will steal some games too, but I don't know if it's the same Islanders defense. And the offensive depth outside of the top 2 lines worries me. So I'm going to go Canes in 6.
Okay, you have Canes in 6. All right, Speedy, let's get to the last one. Ugh.
All right, our New York Rangers against the New Jersey Devils.
This was the matchup I didn't want. I didn't want this. I wanted no part of this. The speed of the Devils, north to south, is ridiculous. Their defense is really good. They have Meier. They have Hughes. Dougie Hamilton's going to be up for a Norris this year. Vanacek, I don't know what he's going to be. He has had a nice season for them. They have Jesper Bratt. Now they're feeling good because they brought Jack's brother up, Luke up. They got Nico Hischier. Here I am talking all about the Devils, but then you say to myself, well, what about the Rangers? Yes, the Rangers have Zibanejad and Panarin and Kreider and Tarasenko and Kane and on and Trouba and Fox and Shesterkin and everything like that. The issue that I worry about with the Rangers is, are they going to be able to keep up with the fast-paced speed of the New Jersey Devils? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. That's number one. Number two, the forward play defensively concerns me. We've seen it the last few weeks with that kid line. The defense on the kid line has been very meh. It's been very subpar. Now, the fourth line's been great with Goodrow, Hughes, and Mott. Goodrow, VC, and Mott. It's going to come down to Shesterkin. Can he stop this young, brash, up-and-coming Devils team that I believe is just getting started? Like I said, my heart tells me Rangers. My head tells me Devils. Speedy, I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna pick the Devils in this one, man. I'm gonna go 7 games. I'm gonna pick the Devils. I think it's gonna be too much speed for the Rangers. I'm very concerned about how the Rangers are gonna keep up with the speed of the Devils. I mean, we'll see what happens. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I could come on this station and take it. I think the Devils are gonna win it in 7.
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible because, like you said, the Devils have a lot of speed. They have a very
Their
good
speed is ridiculous, and they gravitate to the puck, and they don't let you enter the zone speedy really quick. The Rangers can't be doing these cross-ice passes they've been doing against this team. If they do that, they're screwed because breakaways are going to happen.
Yeah, and you're right because the Devils also have very good defensive depth with their skaters too. Even besides Dougie Hamilton, even some of the other young guys.
They got
too.
Sharon Govich and all these guys. They're good. Yeah,
Everton's a very good shot blocker. You've got somebody like John Marino who played well for the Penguins last year, and these guys can skate, and that's where I think the Devils definitely have an advantage there. Now, the one thing that I'm not so sure about is their forecheck physicality. Is it going to be up to the par with the Rangers? Because we saw the Rangers last year, even with these smaller guys, they definitely could hit.
Yeah, their defense turned it up a notch in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think even like some of the kids, like you were saying, I was concerned about that towards the end of the year. They weren't playing well either. But remember, Lafreniere and Heedle's physicality last year was one of the most unexpected things for the Rangers last year.
I agree with you. They have to do what they did last year, and what they need Tarasenko and they need Kane to play the way they came here to play, which is those runs in Chicago and the run that Tarasenko had in St. Louis, which were key cogs to winning those cups for their teams.
Absolutely. And the one thing I do like with Tarasenko, though, is actually his defense has actually been better this season since coming over.
Yes, it has. Kane concerns me.
Kane's
hurt. He's hurt. He's not 100%.
Yeah, Panarin, too, last year concerned me the way he played in the playoffs.
Well, now Panarin's been hot, though.
No. Defensively, I'm talking about the way he
played. Defensive. Well, the problem with Panarin is he turns the puck over 5 or 6 times and he just gives up on the play.
But the Devils have also had that kind of thing with some of their forwards, too, where they haven't played overly physical either at certain points, and I think the Rangers still can take advantage of that. And here's the other factor, too. Pittsburgh obviously was serenading Shesterkin last year with the heckling and stuff like that. There's more of a mixed crowd in this series, so I don't think you're going to see the Devils.
I agree. There's going to be more Ranger fans than Devils. I mean, I think it's going to be 50-50 for those first 2 games, and then, of course, the Garden's going to take over. You don't have to travel far. It's going to be unique. And then say, hypothetically speaking, say the Rangers do win and the Islanders win, the Rangers don't have to travel again. That's 2 rounds where they possibly may not even have to travel, which would be a coup for them.
All right. Yeah. So in that case, I think it's going to be a much more back and forth series. I agree with you. I think it's going to go 7 games, but I'm going to go with the Rangers in 7 games.
Okay. So if I'm wrong, listen, have at it with me. I don't care. That's fine. I hope I am wrong. But Speedy knows this. When I said this a month ago, this was the one team I didn't want, was the Devils. I've been telling Speedy this for weeks. I didn't want the Devils, correct?
Yeah, no. It's a
I
very
told you,
series.
I said this was the team I didn't want. I said I wanted Carolina. This is what I wanted. They fit better. But you know what? It is what it is. You have to deal with it. We said the same thing last year. Oh, God, we have to play Carolina in the second round. This sucks. And then they want to beat them in 7 games. So who knows? Like I said. All right,
so before we go on to the NBA, do you want to just mention like who you like as like a favorite in the Central?
We can do it. Yeah, I mean, we have about what we can make this a part of the buzzer beater. We don't have to do the buzzer beater per se. So we can do this. This is kind of a lax show tonight.
Okay. So
I feel out of place with you, Speedy, with you not being in the studio. That's why I feel out of place.
Okay. But do you want to mention like what your thoughts are with Dallas if they do end up playing the Kraken or Minnesota? Like, what do you like?
Oh, yeah. Go for it. All right. So right now it would be what, Dallas and Seattle, you said?
Right now it's favored to be Dallas, Seattle. Colorado is 1 point behind Dallas. They still have a game tonight at Nashville. So if Colorado wins, they will be the 1 seed and they will play Seattle, and Dallas would play Minnesota.
If Minnesota plays Dallas, Minnesota's winning that series. Because I like the physicality in Minnesota. To me, it's the goaltending matchup. Of course, I understand you're relying on Flower, but for some reason, Fleury rises to the occasion every time in the playoffs. It's weird, except that 1 year against Philly. It's interesting. Then you have Colorado, right? That just found out they're not going to have Landeskog the rest of the season.
Right.
So I think that puts a little hamper on their run. I think they can still beat Seattle. Without Landeskog, they're not what they were last year. I think Colorado would beat Seattle. I don't know why. Something about Dallas I don't like. Andres had a nice year, though.
Yeah, he did. He did. But
He had a very good year. He had a great year, Andres, but it's just I don't like. I don't know. There's just something about that team that just I feel like they're just missing that component. I feel like Minnesota has enough veterans on this team to fund. Now, remember, Minnesota has struggled too to get out of the first round at times as well. So I forget that. So I like Minnesota and I like Colorado. I don't think Seattle is going to win whoever they play. I don't think Seattle's going to win.
No, I'm thinking the same way as you. I actually think Seattle, if they're matched up with Dallas, I think Seattle pulls off the upset. I think they have enough playoff experience on that team with some of the guys they got in the expansion draft. They have.
I just don't like. I know you don't like Dallas either. There's just.
Yeah, I don't like their depth offensively. I think Robertson and Hintz are good, but I mean, obviously Ben and Sagan have enough experience, but they're slower. They're not the same players, and their defense hasn't been as good as it's been in previous years. Ottinger's had to stand on his head a lot of the time more this year.
Which is weird because they've gone pretty much defense draft-wise in the last couple of years, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I just don't think it's as good collectively. And like the Rangers, they have a lot of forwards that just aren't good defensively either. And Seattle's got a lot of great defensemen, and they have a lot of experience of guys coming over from other teams. So I think if it's Dallas Kraken, I'm taking the Kraken. If it's Colorado Kraken, I'm with you. I think Colorado still wins that series, but I think Seattle still does make it tough. I think Minnesota, whoever they play, is going to win in both games. I think they're going to go to the Eastern or Western Conference Finals. I like their depth.
Wow, you like them there. See, that's the thing, because you're also relying on Colorado. You're not going to have Kemper this year. You're now relying on Georgiev, which is a massive difference.
And Minnesota also, if it's not Fleury being hot, Philip Gustafson played really well in the second half too. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing is that Colorado doesn't have Kemper this year. They got Alexander Georgiev, so we'll see. But that's our playoff preview. So we'll do a couple of NBA matchups. What do you want to start with, Speedy?
All right, so we'll start with the West this time in the NBA. Let's start with the 6-3 matchup, the Warriors and the Kings.
See, of course, you gave me the toughest matchup of all of them. Of course you do. Oh, man. This one is the most toss-up one, I think. Probably next to the Lakers, Grizzlies. Oh, man. Because the Kings, it's been so long. They have Sabonis. They have De'Aaron Fox. They have a nice nucleus. They have a good young team. But then you have Golden State, right? They have Thompson. They have Curry. Green. They're getting Wiggins back. Wow, what a shocker. Wiggins comes back for the playoffs. What a coincidence. I think that just the experience is going to overtake that. I think Golden State's going to win that series. I think it's going to be too much for the Kings. It's unfortunate because the Kings got a really crappy matchup in the first round.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same way too, because I think it's going to be a back and forth with both of the home teams. I mean, you're going to have fans travel both places because it's Northern California, but the Warriors are so bad on the road.
What are Snugs going to go? Maybe Snugs should go to a game.
I mean, yeah, those are pretty much two of his three favorite teams. We'll see the Celtics too, but he's always been an advocate for the Sacramento Kings for a long time. He finally got some success there, but yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be both home teams are going to exchange home wins, and then Golden State with the experience will win out.
Well, yeah, because Golden State can't win on the road. That's the issue. They're going to have to win on the road. They had the worst road record, I believe, in the league this year. The thing of it is that they weren't 100% up until now with Wiggins.
I think
now they're going to have everybody back
on the road all season. I mean, really but yeah, I like Warriors in 7.
All right, next one.
We'll go to the 7-2, the Lakers and the Grizzlies.
Again, another team that got a crappy matchup. The Grizzlies got a really crappy matchup. They got the Lakers. Now, LeBron's, of course, going to play. You have Anthony Davis, of course, that's going to play. But also the depth that the Lakers got at the trade deadline was great, getting D'Angelo Russell and other players as well. And the other issue is going to be, no Steven Adams. He's out, so Anthony Davis is going to thrive in the paint, right? Like, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, to me, I'm going to go with the Lakers in this one. I think without Steven Adams, it's going to kill them on the interior. They had nobody that could stop Davis, so I'm going to go with the Lakers.
All right, this is interesting because again, what's the state of mind of Ja Morant is going to be a big question because he's back now, but is he still kind of distracted with?
Well, now he's doing his own lawsuit against this kid. So
yeah, so again, is he going to be able to provide that same kind of leadership? Because he was great in the playoffs last year, and I think he had the most clutch baskets points / assists last year, and that's a big factor when you're playing a team like the Lakers, who are very good in those tight games. But the one thing that worries me with the Lakers is the outside shooting, how consistent it's going to be, and also the perimeter defense. LeBron, he's great defensively. He can only defend one guy, and the Grizzlies still have guys like Desmond Bane who could shoot very well. Dylan Brooks, when his head's on straight, is a pretty good 3-point shooter too. And Ja Morant,
Dylan Brooks is slowly turning into Lance Stevenson.
I
That's
know
what Dylan Brooks is turning into.
But I think they need that kind of player though at the same time, going up against a Lakers team that's intense in their own way. So
yeah, why don't you ask Lance Stevenson how that went against LeBron on the Heat teams? That went well.
That's fair enough. But this Grizzlies team is more talented than those Pacers teams.
Of course. Well, listen, those Pacers they had a young Paul George. They had a
Roy Hibbert. Yeah.
Roy Hibbert. They had who was the other guy? They had the really good player that they had.
Danny Granger. Oh, Danny Granger was there.
Danny Granger was good. Stevenson was good. They had a very good team. That was a very good Pacer team. You could make the case that Pacer team, outside of the big three from Miami, they had more depth than that Miami team did. The problem was that Miami had the big three, and Stevenson was a pain in the ass with LeBron.
Right. And they had a bunch of guys on veteran minimum contracts. But for this series, I think if it goes to 7 games, I'll take the Lakers, but I'm going to go Grizzlies in 6.
Okay. All right.
So the last one in the West is the Clippers and the Suns.
Clippers and the Suns. I'm going to go with the Suns in this one. This is an easy one. I think Phoenix is going to be the team that comes out of the West. You're going to see Booker. You're going to see Durant. You're going to see Paul. You're going to see Aiden. You're going to see depth. You're going to see Monty Williams just make it. Monty Williams, I think, could just sit down and chill. This is going to be easy. I think Phoenix is the team that's going to go to the championship. I wouldn't be shocked if they won the championship with Durant and Booker and Paul together. They should. So I'm going to go with Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Phoenix too. And I think this is going to be a relatively easy series because, again, is Paul George going to be 100% healthy? And even when he's been in the playoffs, he's been very streaky. He had that playoff P reputation with the Pacers, but since he was OKC and certain points with the Clippers, he hasn't been great all the time. Kawhi Leonard, he'll do his thing, but again, do they have enough depth besides that? I like what they did at the trade deadline, but I love what Phoenix did at the trade deadline too. And their depth is still very good. People are worried about the Suns' depth. I still think they have enough with Shamet, with Payne, and a lot of these young players they've drafted, even trading some of them. So I like the Suns, and I think it'll be relatively quick. I'm going to go Suns in 5.
All right. Let's get to the Eastern Conference, Speedy. What do we got?
So we got the Hawks and the Celtics.
Hawks and the Celtics. Well, this is an easy one. It's the Celtics. The Celtics are going to do just fine. I think they're going to sweep Atlanta. Atlanta fired their coach during the season, Nate McMillan. They didn't think they were going to get into the playoffs. Now they're in the playoffs. Trae Young is back, but it's not going to be enough. Boston's one of the favorites to get to the finals. We know how strong they are depth-wise. They have plenty. Boston's going to sweep this series.
I'll give Atlanta one home game, but you're right. It's going to be a relatively easy series. Trae Young has won like 42-point game at home or something like that, and the Hawks will squeak out like game 3.
I don't know if he will. You say that, but, Marcus Smart's going to be the guy guarding him. That's going to be a very difficult matchup for Trae Young.
Which I do think will happen in the other matchups. I think he'll have his one game, Trae Young, like game 3 or game 4 at home. Marcus Smart will be chippy on him the rest of the game. And also Malcolm Brogdon. It's going to be a tough matchup as a defensive player.
Malcolm Brogdon's a good one.
You're right. Yeah. I think collectively it'll be a harder series for that. I think they'll steal one game at home, though, but they just have too much size beyond that. Long term, I like Quinn Snyder, what he's going to do with the Hawks with their defense. They need it, but it's not going to be happening right away. So I'm going to go Celtics at 5.
All right. What's the next one?
Sixers.
Nets and Sixers. Sixers in 4. We don't even need to discuss it. We know what's going to happen. Joel Embiid's going to single-handedly whoop the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Ben Simmons, why did you have to be out to ruin a potentially good revenge series storyline that could have been very chippy? I'll give the Nets one home game. That's it. Sixers in 5. And now the Cavs and the Knicks.
Cavs and the Knicks. It's interesting. This is the one I've been back and forth on the last couple of days. And to me, it's funny. I think this team is better when Julius Randle is not playing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that. The ball movement is better. The team defense is better. The guys seem happier. I think the Knicks are going to win this series. I think they're going to beat them in 6 games. I think it's going to go 6 games. I like Cleveland. I just think this Knicks team If they could steal one from them these next 2 games, which I think they can, I think they'll win both games at the Garden. And then I think they'll win in 6 games, the Knicks.
Yeah, this is definitely a back and forth series. I'm going to go the reverse here. I'm going to go with the Cavs in 7. I think this will be a very chippy one. Both teams' defenses have been good. The inside thing worries me with the Knicks, though. At the 4 position, their defense, Julius Randle, like you're saying, sometimes his team value is lost. And defensively, especially, his team value can be lost. Obi Toppin has been a smart defender, but still kind of undersized against the size of the Cavs. And Isaiah Hartenstein is a rebounder that's decent, but not really a great raw defender. And I worry about somebody like Evan Mobley having a nice series in this one. I even see some other guards that can attack the hoop very well. Somebody like Isaac Okoro, I think, is an underrated guy too. Off the bench.
Well, that's why they have very good perimeter defenders in Grimes and Quickly and Hart, and that's where the perimeter defense is going to help them tremendously. And you have Mitchell Robinson on the interior, which is going to be huge for them. They didn't have that the last time they were in the playoffs. And then you have Jalen Brunson could just do his thing. I think that's going to be a big thing for them. I think Brunson, listen, when Doncic was out last year, right, Brunson carried that Mavericks team in the playoffs.
No question.
He did it on his own.
And you're right, the Knicks do have
do it again.
The Knicks do have a wing advantage size to help to be able to defend the 3. Now, again, are they going to be able to do those types of switches effectively on 2 point guards that are very quick at dribbling the ball, like Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland? And I think they're both going to have their moments in this game. In this series, the Knicks will have their moments defensively, but I think it'll be kind of a back and forth. I don't know if the Madison Square Garden home court advantage is going to be as drastically strong because the Knicks have been kind of a better road team at certain points this year than a home team. And Julius Randle, I do think there's going to be instances where he's going to shoot them out of games too, unfortunately. So you picked against the Rangers.
Let's see if he plays. Now, I know he's questionable for tomorrow. See if he plays.
Right. So you picked against the Rangers. I'm going to pick against the Knicks. So I'm going to go Cavs in 7.
That's fair enough. Listen, like I said, I hope I'm wrong about the Rangers. I hope I'm right about the Knicks. I wouldn't be shocked if I'm wrong about the Rangers. Look, I told you, I've been very back and forth with the Rangers series, Speedy. This was just a matchup I didn't like, only because of the speed. But again, the inexperience of New Jersey, that was a big thing. So, like I said.
I mean, I don't think either of the 1 seeds to lose. They're playing against playing teams. You don't expect any of the Bucks.
No. I don't expect Milwaukee and Denver to lose. No.
So you have the Suns in the West, and you go
Suns in the West, and I have Milwaukee in the East.
Okay, I have the same thing because that's what I picked at the start of the season, so I'm going to stick with it.
And then who do you have in the NHL?
I'm going to go with Vegas and the Rangers.
Vegas and the Rangers.
You go Vegas and the Rangers, and Vegas wins.
Okay, I'm going to go Vegas and Boston, and Boston's going to win. I think this is going to be easy for Boston. I really do. All right. Well, Speedy.
Josh, I want to mention this before we go. It'll be interesting, like revenge storylines with either the Bruins, the Rangers, or the Devils. So Vegas, you'll get the Bruins' former coach against them. Against the Rangers, you'll get the Gallant against his former team. And the Devils, I think, have like 3 ex-Vegas players on their team. So either way, there's going to be interesting revenge story.
It's going to be fascination, that's for sure, and that's the exciting thing about the Speedy. Thank you so much for joining us. Speedy will be back in the studio next week. Later, thank you so much for tuning into Game On. We appreciate it. Speedy, thank you so much. Again, you can check us out on worldwidesportsradio.com. Of course, our WWSRN app. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Don't forget to check out the Weekend Crunch, which airs tomorrow, I believe, at 7 o'clock. Correct, Speedy? Yes, it does. It is at 7 o'clock tomorrow because there's no Islander game. So it will be on tomorrow at 7 o'clock. You can check that out then. Of course, check out the Sports Loudmouths, the Wise Guys, the Betting Show, the Herd, Kenny's wonderful show on Sundays. Check that out and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into Game On. If you're a fan of any of the teams in the NHL and the NBA playoffs, good luck. For me, it's the Rangers and the Knicks. We'll see what happens. At this point, next Friday, we might know what the results are at this time. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
It's the worldwide.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well,